Bum, bum, ba-da-da-ba-bum. Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? Welcome back, John. My name's Keith Man Letters. We're gonna be reading from the Kolbrin Bible. Read some tarot for the squad. Just generally progress on our way towards 100,000 subscribers. What do you think? We've been doing great these past couple days. Some new subscribers, some new friends, new horns in the background. We're gonna continue on with the Kolbrin Bible, and this one's getting good. We're almost done. Light some candles because it actually does help keep the temperature up a little bit in here. But how you guys doing? It's nice to see ya. It's nice to see everybody out there. Nicole, I see you too. Hello. Hello. Wait, I forgot to check if my mic was even on. Check. Oops, sorry about that. Ha! We are live. Hello. Our tunes. Oh, we gotta get our tunes going. Let's. Oh, here we go. Wait. Okay, there's the vibe I needed right there. That's what I was looking for. That's the vibe. That's the vibe you need. Hey, magical night, isn't it? Magical night, isn't it? Garrus Hart, hello. Aloha. Hey, aloha from California, Garrus. Mahalo keni ali awihi wahine. Polililu lani oka wo hiku. Hi, Nicole. The flute. I don't think I have the flute in here. Oh, you want the flute, Nicole? I was gonna put the flute on for when we start reading, and the lo-fi was just our greeting, our welcoming. Come on in, take your shoes off, and make yourselves comfy. I got some tea. We went and picked some black sage and mugwort straight from the mountains, and we got ourselves a nice tea. This one has actually a little bit of lavender too. I got lavender, I think, from Ashira like years ago that we still have. Got a little bit of lavender, a little bit of black sage, a little bit of Californian mugwort, Artemisia californica. Ah. Cheers. Cheers, everybody. Come on in, take your shoes off, stay a while. Allow me a moment to pull up the Kolbrin Bible. We are on book 4. Oh, I need a DuckDuckGo because you were being weird last time. I remember that. For some reason, I gotta use DuckDuckGo to search for the PDF for the Kolbrin. I really gotta keep this thing up too because it's getting. I'll give you your flutes in just a moment, Nicole. I promise you. Doodle-doo. No, that's the reality files. It's not. I needed the mirror. Is this it? Is this it? Oh. Okay. The Tale of Hiram was chapter 6. That's right. We're on 7. Let's see. Garage. Open the garage. Not now. We've been recording our audiobooks at night because the dogs don't bark out here. They don't bark as much. Chapter 6. Yes, chapter 7. Excuse me, chapter 7. Chapter 7, Kolbrin Bible. 1, 2, 3, check. Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, check. I received my order of sage and mugwort, and it's... Oh, Sea Fleet, you were the one that ordered the sage. Hey, sorry I couldn't wrap the maple leaf. We had a... Siri thinks I'm talking to her. We had a massive storm pound the west coast last week, and it just destroyed everything we got going over here. I couldn't even go into the mountains because the trail has a river about waist high flowing through it right now. It used to be a creek, and I was like, well, I'm clearly not crossing this river with my 3-year-old child because we might drown. Anyway, long story short, I couldn't get the sycamore leaves to wrap your herb bundle, but I'm glad you like it. It's something magical, ain't it? It's something magical. Terra Divine, Grand Rising, good morning. Grand Rising, that's right, we don't say morning anymore. Happy Rising to you as well. Where are you, in Australia or something? It's tomorrow already? Or maybe it's earlier today? I don't know. I appreciate you too, Taro. Alright, let's crack into this Kolbrin Bible. I want to record 2 chapters tonight because I've been putting it off. So this chapter looks like it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a good, healthy chapter. All right. Do you guys have anything to say before we start? Anything to share? Anything? Are you even here to hear the Kolbrin Bible, or are you just here just to catch a vibe? Which is totally fine too, by all means. I mean, catch that vibe, baby. Catch that vibe. It is definitely tomorrow in Australia. Okay. Let us begin. Do a little slow fade. A little slow fade, and then hit him with the dadu. Well, come on in, and doom doom. Are you going to? We gotta put it coming through my. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back. We are continuing the Kolbrin Bible, listening to us some Daduk flute, while we dip into the deep recesses of the subconscious human psyche here tonight on the Kolbrin Bible. We will be starting chapter 7, the Rolls of Record, and hopefully it's not, or hopefully there's something nice in there. That's why we read these things after all, right? Are the levels good enough for you guys? Not too much music, not too much sound. We got a nice balance. All right. Well, here we go. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Check. Check 1 2. Check. All right. Chapter 7, with the Rolls of Record. 1. By the hand of Rabban, son of Haskiah, who was the bowman of God and brought the children of light to the land of mists. Haskiah was a mighty man whose bow shafts struck like the lightning flash, and his enemies went down like corn before the reapers. He was a captain of men in the war of gods, and those he slew were numbered like barley in the measure. His enemies were spread before him like a carpet at his feet, and there was no other like him. He was a man who knew the Almighty God and looked up to him as the God of his fathers. But Haskiah worshipped him after the customs of his people, and therefore knew the truth only in part. For having stolen him, they were unable to know him. fully. Now the days of fighting were past, and Hezekiah and those who remained alive with him slept in strange places, for they were sought by the king who had been victorious. His wives and his children and all his household dwelt at Kadesh against the mountain, and awaited his coming there. But he came not while being sought by the king. Hey, just a side note for you guys. At least this is how what I'm thinking in my head as I read this. They keep talking about the children of light, and so many of these stories correspond with so many of the ancient myths, the ancient flood myths, ancient catastrophe myths, ancient random mythologies like Sword in the Stone. So I'm getting the impression that this tale is another version of the same tale that we always hear from all the generations from all over the world that are all alluding to the same thing: a catastrophe with an advanced civilization prior to that catastrophe, and remnants of that lost civilization surviving the catastrophe and sort of restarting culture with the ancient knowledge. And so when I read something like Hezekiah, who was bowman of God and brought the children of light to the land of mists, I'm thinking, whoa, maybe this is a tale of, because Thoth wasn't the only priest who left Atlantis, according to the lore. Was not the only priest who left Atlantis and spread knowledge around the planet. There were many of them. Thoth was just like the king of all of them. So there were a lot of other characters bringing knowledge, sharing knowledge, doing different things, and I can't help but think we're learning about some of the other side quests. In another word, we're learning about the side quests. You know, if the Emerald Tablets are sort of the main quest of the lore, then we're reading, the B film. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening. It's just a thought that's coming to mind as we read the text. All right, anywho. It might help us, it might give us context to what we're reading, is why I'm telling you that. It just might. What's up, Caleb? All right, here we go. So it came to pass that his brother Isaias, who held stewardship over all his household and his possessions, seeing that Hezekiah could not come unto this place, possessed himself of them. Isaias had the ear of those in high places, and Hezekiah lost his birthright. So all that Hezekiah passed into the possession of his brother Isaias. He took even the wives of Hezekiah, for such was the decree of the king. But Athaliah, the first of the wives of Hezekiah, spurned Isaias and called down the wrath of hellooo upon his head. And Isaias was afraid and did not possess her. When they saw this, the other wives, being jealous of her, for she was ever in high favor with Hezekiah, stirred Isaias up against her. They mocked him, saying, "Are you truly the master here, or are there fruits you cannot pluck?" So Isaias sought to take Athaliah by strength, but she strove against him, and his manhood was hurt, so that did not take her. Then Isaias had her bound, and her hands were tied for 7 days, so that she could not of herself either eat or drink or do the things required by her body. She was humiliated, and her womanhood betrayed. For an idiot man attended her wants, and he mocked her modesty, and she was tormented by her needs. Then, on the 7th day, she was brought forth by Isaias to trial, and she was stripped and lashed, and her hair was burnt off. She was branded on her face, and her lips and her tongue were cut. She was given a robe and a pitcher of water and dried fruits and flour. She was given a robe and a pitcher of water and dried fruits and flour. She was driven forth by Isaias, who said, "Go, woman, and perhaps, should you even find him, Hezekiah will understand your babble." Damn, this dude was a savage. Athaliah went out into the wilderness to die, and at night she fell in pain and weariness under an ellen tree and lay there. In anguish she cried out unto her God, and cast her soul from her, that she might not feel pain. And her soul found Hezekiah. As it became light next day, Athaliah awoke and praised God, saying, I have slept amid my pain, for God is good. I have slept amid my pain, for God is good and merciful. And I know that Hezekiah yet lives in a far-off place, but my soul and my God will lead me to him. And she went, guided by her soul. On the same night Hezekiah lay in a cavern amid mountains, but he slept not, for one come bearing tidings of his brother, saying, Esaias has possessed himself of all that was once yours. Even your wives has he taken, and between you and he are many men who would slay you. As Hezekiah lay thus in agony of spirit, it came to pass that he felt the presence of Athaliah's soul, and peace came upon him, and he slept. And as he slept, he dreamed. And in his dream Athaliah stood at his feet, fairer than he had ever known her, and she said, All is not lost unto you, for I come seeking you in the wilderness, and I will find you, so be at peace. And Hezekiah awoke refreshed and strong in spirit. And he came down out of the mountains, and over the wilderness came to the place of bitter waters, where men find refuge, and men were hiding there from the wrath of the king. And Hezekiah inquired of them, saying, You have come from many places. Which of you has seen a woman seeking me? They answered, No woman travels abroad on such a quest. Or has she many attendants, and what is her appearance? And Hezekiah said, She is fair as the dawning, with hair like the raven's wing, and skin like fine oil. Her touch is like cool waters, and bearing like the gazelle. Then the men mocked him and talked much, saying, How long would such a one as you describe travel alone? It is not the nature of women to leave their household and come into the wilderness. Would any man pass her by? Who then now possesses her? Seek her not in the wilderness, for if she is not clad in fine linen and perfumed with sweet-smelling oils. Then Hezekiah took counsel with himself and said, I am indeed a fool who chases dreams. This is no time for dreaming when there is a man's task at hand. So in the morning he said to those with him, I go up against my brother. But they pleaded with him, saying, Have you a host of men, or even a company? Abandon such foolishness. Now, at that time Athaliah dwelt beneath a mountain where there was a spring, for she was weary from many days of journeying, and she was sick in spirit, for men, when she came among them, beat her with sticks and drove her from the place of their habitations. She offended their eyes, and none desired her. No man came to the spring, for it was an accursed place where voices came from the rocks, and the dead spoke. Therefore it is called the audience chamber of the dead. And none but witches go there, for these the dead do not harm. Now, when night fell, Hezekiah slept, and those with him were not watchful. And evil men said among themselves, Let us slay Hezekiah in the night, for he has gold and silver and spoils of war with him. Let us cut off his head and carry it to his brother. That way we may be rewarded and made welcome. So it came to pass that in the morning hours of the night men came to fall upon Hezekiah, and those with him to slay them. But one among them was heavy-footed, and Hezekiah awoke as they fell upon him, and he seized his sword, and leaping up as a lion springs to smote about him, and there was slaughter. But he was without helmet, and his head was bare, and so he was wounded. They who came against him died or fled, but of those with him just one remained, and he was sorely wounded. In the morning they left with their asses laden, And Hezekiah held his bow, and none came near him. And as the sun mounted on high, the sight departed from the eyes of Hezekiah, and he became blind. So Hezekiah and he who was his companion abandoned hope, for there were men who would destroy them in front and behind, and the wilderness enclosed about them. And they said, "Let us therefore go to the place called the audience chamber of the dead, which is by our side. For are we not as those already dead? There we shall find water to quench our thirsts and soothe our wounds as we end our days." And as they entered the pass at the place where the waters entered the sand, the companion of Hezekiah died. Then Hezekiah heard voices of the dead calling him from among the mountains, and he arose and said, I come, for this is my hour. And he passed up the watercourse, so it was that being blind he dashed against the rocks and fell to the ground, and lay there as one already dead. Now, on that day the soul of Athaliah was troubled, and she wandered abroad, straying from her tasks. And she looked up and saw a raven descending from out of the sky, and her soul said unto her, Behold, it comes for the soul of Hezekiah, for he is nearby and close to death. So Athaliah sped away, guided by the bird. She came upon Hezekiah as his soul was prepared to depart, and she took him in her arms and lifted his head and gave him water. And her soul communed with his soul and bade it to stay. And because of the bond between them, it stayed. And she remained with him 3 days and built a tower and ministered to him. But he lay as one already dead. On the 3rd day, as the sun prepared to enter into the night kingdom, Hezekiah stirred. He groaned in anguish from his wounds, and Athaliah comforted him. And he slept in peace. When it became light next day, he awoke and felt Athaliah's touch upon him, and Hezekiah knew her. He said, Athaliah, are you here? How came you to this place and found me in my hour of need? But Athaliah answered not because of her tongue. And she drew a veil around her face, for she knew not that Hezekiah was blind. She wept, and her tears fell upon his face. And he held on to her, for her hands told him that she could not speak to him as she once did. And he said, I am blind, and I cannot see. But she drew not the veil, for she feared for him when his hands sought to his eyes. Days passed, and Hezekiah grew strong. And he knew the tale of his brother's deeds, and swore vengeance in the name of his God. He said, For this purpose life has been left to me. And Athaliah grieved that he spoke thus, for he could not walk without her. Dreams being invited to Cleopatra's palace as the pleasure provider. Interestingly enough, there's some synchronicities in that statement. Asm. Sorry, I needed a drink. All right, let's go. Where did I leave off? I lost my spot, though. The waters of the valley were cool, and there were herbs and wild fruits and goats upon the mountainside. And so it came to pass that after many days Hezekiah was whole and strong again, but he remained blind. So he could not see Athaliah, and therefore she remained fair in his eyes. But the soft speech was gone from her. And this Hezekiah did not mind, for what he heard daily was the speech which greeted him as he lay in her arms before she knew he had come back to life. Hezekiah and Athaliah were no longer troubled by the voices among the rocks, for no harm was done to them in this place. And when Hezekiah became strong again, he desired to go from that place, and fretted to be gone. But Athaliah bade him to stay. She told him, "You are blind, and therefore like a child. And will we not die of hunger in the wilderness, or be slain by men who seek after you? Let us stay here." And Hezekiah listened to her words, for it was not unpleasant in this place. And Hezekiah listened to her words, for it was not unpleasant in this place. And it came to pass that one day, as Athaliah gathered herbs in the valley, she espied a stranger drinking at the waters, and he was weak and weary from much journeying. And she took Hezekiah, and together they went up to the stranger, and Hezekiah greeted them, saying, "May the peace of God be with you, master. How may we serve you?" The stranger answered them, saying, "I am Locus, son of the firebird, and physician to the king of Tyre. I have traveled from afar to this place, that I may hear the wisdom of the dead. I came to talk with my soul in solitude, for I am a weary can't read right now. I came to talk with my soul in solitude, for I am a weary man of the for I am weary of the ways of men. I no longer seek to be the companion of those in high places who concern themselves overmuch with wars and the affairs of men." And Hezekiah knew Locus for a magician of great renown. Hezekiah dwelt in a cave in the mountainside by the waters of a spring which came forth from a smaller cave nearby. The land before the caves was flat, and there was an ancient garden and some enclosures. Beyond these were trees. And when Locus had been brought to the abode of Hezekiah, to the place where he camped, he was given food and rested. The Hezekiah said unto him, "You are great even among great magicians, for your magic is greater even than the magic of Egypt. I beg you, master, look with pity upon my blindness, for it makes me even as a child. I, who am a man among men and have a man's task before me, pray therefore cast magic with fire, that I may be made whole again." And Locus said unto him, "Is this then the one desire of your heart? Is there not in heaven or earth that you desire more?" So Hezekiah replied, "There is naught above this." So Locus spoke to Athaliah, saying, "What is your desire? Is it that you may be as you once were?" Athaliah said, "This indeed I desire, especially for the sake of my Lord. But master, above all I desire that he may see again. But oh, let not his eyes lead him from me to destruction." So Locus said to Athaliah, "You know what his eyes will see." She answers, "Let his eyes see what they will, but let them see." Locus said back, "So it shall be, for you have but one desire between you. I will make a covenant with Hezekiah, so that his eyes may see again. This is the covenant, that Hezekiah will stay in this place until Athaliah has borne him a son, and until 6 months after his son's weaning he will sit at my feet and absorb my instruction." Then Athaliah said unto Locus, "Master, when he is no longer blind and sees me as I am, will not the burden of the covenant be too great for him?" Locus answered, "He has more than 2 eyes." Locus took Hezekiah and cast a spell upon him, so that he fell asleep. And Locus opened his head and let out the evil which blinded him, and encased his head in clay, that the demon might not resume its residence. And Hezekiah was left asleep for 6 days and 6 nights. On the 7th day, Hezekiah awoke, and behold, he was no longer blind. And he called for Athaliah, but she came not. Then Hezekiah cried, "I see, but the woman is not here. Is this not a time for rejoicing?" But lo, she stays away. Locus said unto him, It is the manner of women, let her be. And when night had come, Athaliah came and sat at the feet of Hezekiah and said unto him, It is well, my lord, and my heart rejoices. And Hezekiah, stretching out his hand, caught hold of Athaliah, saying unto Locust, Long have I been with this woman, and I was blind. All right, we'll take a quick drink break right there and let the dogs get the barks out of their system. Candy, what's up? This is the kolbrin Bible. Seaflower, yes. We are still reading from the kolbrin, book 4 of 6, I believe. Just me, what's up? How you guys doing out there? How's the room? Oh, we have 13 people in here. Hey, my lucky number. This is so much more enjoyable reading on a live instead of just being alone reading these things for hours on end by myself, by my own lonesome. All right. Let us continue. Candy Mikowski, you've heard of the kolbrin Bible. We released like 3 top shelf audiobooks of book 1, 2, and 3. I've done lives, or are you trolling me right now? You like it, Candy? I'm surprised you haven't. All right, Candy. Anyway, let's keep the kolbrin Bible going. Is everything's good? Sounds are good. Levels are good. We're learning about a magician. We're learning about the brothers of Thoth. I'm calling it right now. I'm going out on a limb, but it's a strong one. It's a strong limb that holds up a lot of fruit, including your boy. I'm calling that we're learning about the brothers and priesthood of Thoth and the other workings, the other tales and stories and experiences that happened other than, the mainstream stories that we get. So this is good, exciting stuff. Anywho, let's continue. And I was blinded that I could not see her face. Now I say, bring me my torch quickly, that I may look upon the face I desire to see with all my heart. First of all, if you're just coming in, there was a woman, there was a man, they got separated. The woman was super beautiful, man super successful. Woman tries to get taken over by another man, a king. She's like, nah, fuck that noise. Fights with the dude, hurts him, and he gets hella pissed because he can't have her. So he burns off her hair, slices up her lips and her tongue, and just destroys her. She looks hideous. And so now she finds her husband again, but her husband was blind. Husband runs into a magician of Tyre. Interesting, we know Tyre, right? He grants one wish for the husband to see again, but now the wife is scared. Athaliah is scared because her husband's now going to see how hideous she is now, or at least so she thinks. Now that he has his sight back from the magician, we're about to find out what happens. So he says, And I was blinded that I could not see her face. Now I say, bring me my torch quickly, that I may look upon the face I desire to see with all my heart. And Athaliah, bowing her head, remains cold and still beside Hezekiah, the veil held before her face. And Locust, placing the torch aside, drew the veil and lifted her head towards the light, and the woman looked up fearfully. Hezekiah looked upon her in silence. Then he lifted her towards him and kissed her face, saying, Wife of my bosom, the years have taken nothing from the loveliness of your youth. And Athaliah fell before him in a swoon. Oh, wasn't that sweet? Now when the morning came, Locust is the magician, by the way. Now when the morning came, Locust sat outside the cave, and Athaliah came, and kneeling before him said, Great master, what magic have you wrought? The waters do not lie, yet my lord sees me not as they. And Locust answered her, saying, Nor does the soul he, but the eyes of men are deceivers and not to be trusted. One desire only have I granted. One desire have I granted only, for my magic has not touched you. Hezekiah sees indeed, but if he sees not wholly with his eyes and in part with his heart, seeing not the eyes of other men, then perhaps my magic is imperfect, and I am not the greatest of magicians. Unnumbered days passed, and Athaliah was first delivered of a daughter and of then a son. And Hezekiah sat before Locus and received his instruction. And many books were opened up unto him. He learned the mysteries of the secret way and the songs of the fire. He knew the wisdom that had come down through the ages. So it came to pass that one day Hezekiah went unto Locus and said, All has been done that the covenant required. And Locus answered him, saying, It is well. Prepare now to follow the path of your destiny. Then Athaliah was veiled, and Locus journeyed as a great magician, following his stars, and Hezekiah served him as though his slave. Thus they came to the lands held by Esaias, and Locus made masks of animal skins. So Esaias was the evil dude who scarred the woman's face and took over the other dude's other wives, etc., etc. So they're returning to his lands. Thus they came to the lands held by Esaias, and Locus made masks of animal skins with tree gum and clay, and gave them unto Hezekiah and Athaliah. And he clothed them in strange garments and dyed their skins, saying, Men expect all things of a magician, and make no query concerning the strange things they see about him. Therefore, let not the men of this place be disappointed in my attendance. So Hezekiah, he said, Be as one dumb, for your tongue would betray you to those we come amongst in this place. And Hezekiah answered, My tongue shall be dead in this place. In this manner they came before Esaias. Esaias had looked well upon the flesh pots, and his body was filled with fat. He was clad in fine linen from Egypt and perfumed. And Hezekiah said within himself, Can this be the son of my father and the companion of my childhood? It is truly written, In the hands of a weakling gold churns to fat. Locus spoke unto Esaias, saying, Lord, I have come far, and therefore beg that I and my servants be given food and drink and a place to lay our heads. I am a magician of magicians and a physician of physicians. Mayhap there are those within your household who are sick or possessed by demons whom I may serve. Or may I enliven your leisure with wonders and magic, and show you strange things beyond the understanding of men. Esaias said unto Locus, Remain with us, for there is little pleasure here. If you enliven our days, you serve us well. So it came to pass that Esaias prepared a great feast, to which came many lords with their households. The fame of Locus had spread far. Whoops. Hold on. Whoop. Oh, no, wrong button. Yeah, that's where'd they go? We lost my spot. Okay. First things first. Should I keep rolling with the Daduk flute? You guys want to change the vibe up a little bit? Pick up the pace with some. I only have lo-fi and I have Daduk flute. Maybe I can put something else on if you guys have any requests to mix up the vibe a little bit. What do you guys think? Or should we just keep rolling with the Daduk flute? All right, just me. We'll keep running it then, baby. Let's go, let's go. So it came to pass that Esaias prepared a great feast, to which came many lords from their households. The fame of Locus had spread so far, for he had healed the sick and cast out demons and shown many wonders beyond the understanding of men. And among those who came were many who knew Hezekiah. And when the day of the great feast came, there was much feasting and much merrymaking, and Locus worked great wonders, so that all men acclaimed his magic. And there were games and feats of strength and dancing, and when night had fallen, great fires were lit and many torches. Tables were spread with all manner of good things, and the guests assembled within the great courtyard. Esaias sat beneath the tall sycamore tree, and before him was a table laden with every kind of meat. There were breads and sweet things and spices in abundance. This sounds like a party. You guys, this sounds like a party. I'm trying to go to this party. Who wants to go to this party with me? And Esaias was sitting among half men and wanton women, and with him were gluttons and drunkards. There was much loud laughter in their company and many sly gestures. There were singing women and dancing girls. There were half men who performed as women, and the night was heavy with the sense of wickedness. The feasting and dancing went on well into the night, and Locust displayed his powers before the assembly. And when the clamor was at its height, Esaias spoke to Locust, saying, "Show us now the greatest of your wonders, which we have not yet seen. Let the night be more enlivened." So Locust stood before them, and lo, before their eyes he changed stones into gold, and a dog into an ass. He drew wine and milk from an empty pitcher and caused a rod to become a snake. This is what I'm talking about. He changed water to wine. He made a rod become a snake. This Kolbrin Bible is an ancient text written half in part by ancient Egyptians and the other half in part by ancient Druids, Celtic, believe it or not. And here we have more stories that cross-reference with turning the snake into rod, Moses for the Pharaoh, water into wine, Jesus. Anybody? Right? Anywho, where's my spot? Change stone into gold, alchemy. Anybody? Anywho, standing before a table that was bare, he drew all manner of foods and wines out of the air and furnished it for a splendid repast. Then he called Hezekiah as his slave and stood a comely maiden before him. And Hezekiah shot arrows into her belly, and they stood out from her body, so that there was not space for a man to place his hand. And the blood flowed down her robe as though she had, and the blood flowed down from her robe as though she stood in a rainstorm of blood, before she sank to the ground and lay there dead before them. Then Locust went up to her, and after wrenching the arrows from out of her body, threw a cloak over it. The arrows he carried to Esaias and those about him, saying, "See the blood of a maiden." And they held the arrows and looked at them. And behold, as they held the arrows and looked, the blood went from them, and the arrows were clean. And Locust cried out in a loud voice, "Lo, the blood returns." Then passing over unto the maiden, he lifted the cloak off her, and beheld. Then passing over the maiden, he held the cloak and lifted it off of her, and behold, as he did so, her robe became clean again. And Locust took her by the hand and said to her, "Arise." And she rose. She stood there before Esaias. And as he was silent, and those about him did not speak, casting aside her garment, which was the outer robe, the maiden danced before the gathering, and all there wondered greatly, for her body was unmarked. Esaias spoke to Locust, saying, "How can such things be? What manner of magic is this?" Locust answered him, saying, "Lord, your eyes saw as I bid them to see. For I am a master of men's hearts, not the master of flesh and wood. The eye is the greatest of deceivers. It is the magic of Egypt which undid the work of the Ethiopian's bow." And Esaias said, "Who is the Ethiopian who stands there so strangely garbed? It is indeed a bowman among bowmen to loose arrows, so that one has scarcely struck ere another left the bow." So we've just learned that this gentleman is from Ethiopia. The bowmaster. So the bowmaster is one of the bringers of the children of men, or the children of light, the Atlanteans. settling in Ethiopia. See what I'm saying? The plot thickens, you guys. Sorry, I'm nerding out right now. I lost my spot. Ethiopia. Has Rath Shamishel come unto us? And Locust answered him, saying, Lord, he comes from beyond the land of elephants, in the place where the earth tips over. The magic is in his bow, which can shoot at a wild ass and bring down a lion. So saying, Locust took up a clay pot and stood it on a table, and Hezekiah, standing up, loosed an arrow at it, and the pot was shattered, and as it fell apart, lo and behold, a silver pot appeared in its place. And those who saw these things were amazed and spoke to one another about the magic of locusts. One among the gathering, a speechmaker, stood up and spoke words praising the magic of locusts, but Esaias sat quiet, deep in thought. Then bidding Locust come to his side, Esaias said, This night I have seen with my own eyes a maiden slain with arrows and raised from the sleep of death. I have seen the magic of the bow change clay to silver. Is then your magic great enough to change age into youth and weakness into strength? It is said that the greatest of magicians can do even this. Locust lifted himself up. He said, Even this I can do. Then there was much whispering back and forth and talk among those who sat about Esaias. They that stood in the place of his favor said, Master, this is the hour. Let the magic of this great magician cast the years from off your back and renew your vigor of youth. And while they spoke, there was much whispering and sly laughter among the half-men. Locust stepped back from the presence of Esaias, and he raised his left hand, and there were loud thunders. He raised his right hand, and fire leapt forth from the ground, and a great cloud of smoke went up. And he said unto Esaias, Great Esaias, this is your hour. You are the Lord of this land and place. Therefore command as you will. Already the night is more than half spent and speeds to its closing. Hear now my words, this I say unto you. Enter now into my magic tent, which stands strangely adorned over against the edge of the feasting place. The tent wherefrom I tissue forth my magic, to which I return to replenish my strength when it is done. Therefore is the fount of my magic, the hub of the great circle of power. Remain there until the first red glow from the fires of the underworld appears in the night sky. We're reading the Kolbrin Bible, black coffee. Sorry if no one told you that. Take your shoes off, stay a while. Thank you, Sea Flower. Thank you. Just let this semi drive by us. I'm getting real cotton mouth. I hate that sound. And it comes up, it's like my pet peeve when I can hear the lip smacking. When I go back to edit this, now I hear the little pops and clicks. And I gotta edit them all out, and I'm just like, gah. Alright, let us continue. This is a long chapter, man. Jesus. We still have another. Alright. Then Lord, I will come into the tent, and standing against it I will call forth the Lord of this land and place, and behold, a new Lord will stand before the gathering in manly strength and vigor, a man among men and a fitting master for this household. He will He will be such a man that I, even I, Locust, the master of magic, will be the first to proclaim him." So Osias entered into the tent of Locust the magician, and as he passed within, Locust gave him the great bow of Heskiah, saying, "Take this with you, for its magic is great and may well be needed. It is a worthy weapon for the lord of this land." Then the gathering spoke amongst themselves and waited. Singing women whiled away the hours, and as the first arrows of morning light struck the night sky, Locust arose and stood against the tent of magic. Lifting up the door, he cried out in a loud voice, "Great lord of these lands and place, come forth to your heritage. Behold your lord." And as he spoke, lo, Heskiah stepped forth into the morning light, arrayed as a lord and girded about with belt and sword. He wore a helmet, and in his hand was the great bow. The sound of a great sigh passed through the gathering, and men looked one at the other. They were bemused, not knowing what to do, for there was magic about them. And Locust lifted up his voice in the silence and cried, "Behold, I have brought forth a man among men as lord of these lands and place. Will you not therefore receive him in a befitting manner?" And men spoke amongst themselves. They said, "This is one having the appearance of Heskiah, whom we know, in the truth the lord of these lands and place. He is a man indeed, if it be he. His magic drawn him back from the grave, or has the spirit of Osias clothed itself in the form of Heskiah?" Then first one and then another hailed the man before them, saying, "This is a man among men, if not our lord Heskiah." Then a great shout of Heskiah went up, and Heskiah stood stern before them. Now there were those among the gathering who stood silent. The half men and wanton women who were about the table where Osias had been sat pale, silent, clinging to each other. They said to themselves, "If indeed this be Heskiah, where then is our lord Osias?" And a man stood up among the gathering, shouting, "This is not Osias transformed by magic, but Heskiah, who with this evil magician has worked a trick. Osias is not transformed, but murdered. Let him be avenged." Reaching back, he took a javelin and sought to hurl it at Heskiah. But the bow in the hand of Heskiah bent, and before the javelin could be sped, an arrow pierced the man's throat. Then the bow sang twice more before the enemies of Heskiah departed. And now it came to pass that those remaining gathered about Heskiah and rejoiced, saying, "Heskiah is indeed the rightful lord, and none but he ever bent bow, as we have seen a bow bent this dawning." And Heskiah passed through them to the seat of Osias, and those gathered there shrank before him. And he swept the table clean and drove away those who stood about it, saying, "Begone, lest I have you seized and beaten, for you befoul the earth and serve neither God nor man." They departed, and they said, "This is indeed Heskiah, and not Osias." And Osias was seen no more by the eyes of men. Damn, so they took Osias into that tent and just wrecked his life, and they don't even say what happened to him. They must have murdered this dude something fierce. They killed this dude dead is what they did. That's what happened. Are you guys enjoying the Kolbrin Bible? This is a good one. It feels very story time. This one's like a nice, proper story. I'm really enjoying this one. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. If you guys feel like the tip jar's right there, the super chat's right there. If you guys want to become Patreon members or channel members and help out the squad and just be homies, oh man, I would love that too. Anywho, let's just get right into it and keep going. Let's see what happens. Now that Osias has been dethroned, and Heskiah and Boo Boo are now back to their rightful place. Now let's see what happens. And it came to pass that on his way to the king, Locust was stricken with a sickness, and lay as one already dead. and for many days his soul was prepared for departure. And while he lay sick, the power that bound the eyes of Hezekiah became weakened, and the eyes of Hezekiah were no longer bound. Now Hezekiah purged his household and spent the days dealing with his estates, and his lands flourished. His servants no longer bickered among themselves as before, and contentment reigned within his shadow. So when many days had passed and all things were ordered, Hezekiah called his steward and said unto him, Let a feast be prepared. As the land has given generously to me, so will I give no less generously. Hezekiah said this, and it was done. Now there was a woman called Miriam of the household of Esaias, who was fair to behold, and she sought the favor of Hezekiah. And among the women there was much talk of Athaliah, who remained ever veiled, for there were those among the women who knew her. But none spoke to Hezekiah, for he was a man who talked a little with women, and Athaliah stood first in his eyes. Miriam had not seen the degradation of Athaliah, nor had she seen her unveiled. But it came to pass that she spied upon Athaliah one day while she was about her toilet, and seeing her unveiled, Miriam took counsel with herself. Now the day of feasting came, and many were the guests, but of half men and wanton women were there none. And among the women Athaliah sat apart. And among the men there was much talk of riches and battles, and of spoils of war and husbandry. Among the guests was a young lord who sought the favors of Miriam. And while the feasting and dancing were at their height, they came one to the other. And as they dallied beyond the torchlight, Miriam said unto him, Am I fair indeed? And he answered her, saying, You are fair even among the fairest. You little devil. She said unto him, Yet there was one more fair by far, so fair that she needs to go veiled before men. She is Athaliah, wife of Hezekiah, who keeps her thus. Oh, here comes Atlas. What's my baby doing?
Hey, can I try it again? Can you help me?
I'm almost done, love. That is working. You want to say hi? You want to say hello? Oh, I lost my spot, Atlas. You want to say hi, Bubba? Everyone say hello to Atlas. Say hi, Bubba. You want to say hello or something?
I'm the way.
What?
You're dead.
You're dead?
Yes.
Yes.
Do it.
Do what?
Do it.
Talk. Say hello everyone. Welcome to the Man of Letters channel, where we bring you knowledge, information, and entertainment. Go, say it.
I really had I to do it.
Yeah. Do you have any messages for everyone before you go?
Do the nut.
Okay. Say bye.
Bye.
Okay. See you later. Thanks, love. I'll be inside in a little bit. Atlas just came in here casually and dropped the death card on us. Did you hear him? He saw you are dead. Thanks, Atlas. Jesus Christ. Cash App, Keith. I don't know. I'm not sure if I have Cash App. I do. I don't know what that. I haven't used Cash App in years. I usually just do the super chats built into YouTube, if you feel like it. Atlas says hello, everybody. Give me a second to find where we left off. Apparently, this new Miriam chick is trying to pull a fast one. Trying to home wreck a little bit. And let's see how it plays out. Okay. She is Athaliah, wife of Hezekiah, who keeps her thus. He fears for himself and does not trust her, for this is his weakness. And Miriam moved away from the young lord, saying, Go look upon her face. And if you can then say, I am the fairest of the fair, I shall know that your heart speaks sincerely of itself, and not at the behest of your body. The young lord returned to the feasting, and sat in a place nearby to Hezekiah, and spoke those The young lord returned to the feasting, and sat in a place nearby to Hezekiah, and spoke to those about him, saying, Have any among you seen a woman here who rivals the fairest bearers of Have any among you seen a woman here who rivals the fairest bearers of myrtle and palm? And And the men rebuked him, saying, It is not meet to talk thus about the women of a household wherein you are a guest. Are they to be judged as are women of the night? Sorry, I thought my software wasn't recording the audio. I got scared. But the tongue of the young lord was not stayed, and he replied, saying, That which causes talk will be talked about. And Hezekiah heard him and was angry, and said, What in my household moves foolish tongues to gossip? The young lord said, That which a man tries to conceal ever arouses the interests of others. Does any man conceal that of which he is proud? And Hezekiah looked about him, saying, This talk I do not understand. The young lord said, My lord, men talk of what lies beneath the veil of the woman you brought here. Is she indeed as fair as men say, or is there truth even in the gossip of women? And those who knew about the degradation of Athaliah muttered among themselves, for her secret could not be kept hidden. They said, This is loose talk and wicked. Let the evil which belongs to the past remain buried. Does this concern any man but Hezekiah? Are we among women that the talk should be thus? Are we among women that the talk should be thus? Is our custom to be lightly set aside? Let the veil remain. But Hezekiah, hearing the muttering, though wrongly, of what was said, and he spoke to the young lord, saying, This woman is fair as few women are fair. Should I not know? This you shall indeed see for yourself. And Hezekiah said within himself, Long enough have I indulged Athaliah her whims. Does a pearl give pleasure within its shell? And Hezekiah sent his attendant for her. So Athaliah came with her handmaiden, and Miriam came too and stood close behind them. And Athaliah stood before Hezekiah and said, My lord, what is your wish? And he said to her, Woman, remove your veil. And Athaliah put her hand to the veil and pleaded with him, saying, My lord, there are many men here and strangers. There is a custom of my people by which I abide. And men, hearing her voice, looked one at another, and the oldest among them said to Hezekiah, Let the woman be, for this is of no importance and of no interest to us. Allow her the whim, for such is the nature of women. Shall we deny them their small pleasures? Athaliah inclined her head towards the man who spoke, and she did so. And as she did so, Miriam stepped forward and caught hold of the veil, snatching it aside. And the stricken face of Athaliah was revealed to the gathering. Alright, so those of you who just came in, Athaliah was the most beautiful maiden in the land, and her husband was sent into exile, and the new king tried to claim her, and she wasn't having it. She was like, fuck out of here. And he didn't like that, so he made her ugly. He burnt her hair off with fire. He slit her tongue and her cheeks, and he just beat her to a pulp and made her look hideous. He's just wrecked this poor woman. And that's why she always walks around with a veil now. And the husband still finds her absolutely beautiful. He's like, you're my girl. But for whatever reason, he allows himself to be convinced into taking her veil off in front of everyone, which I'm finding very interesting. And so now, Miriam, the homewrecker chick, who's like, I'm gonna just put her on blast because she's trying to swoop on the king now and trying to get rid of his girl, just pulled the veil off of her face in front of the whole party. That's where we're at. So after she pulls the veil off, it continues. All men were silent and still, like statues. And Hezekiah looked at Athaliah, and she said, and Hezekiah looked at Athaliah, and she at him. And Hezekiah saw her as she was, and Athaliah knew what saw. Then came the voice of the young lord, saying, Behold the pearl of Hezekiah. And Hezekiah turned upon him in rage and killed him. Fuck yeah. Nice. Good shit, man. And Hezekiah turned to Athaliah, who stood still and alone, saying, What evil has been wrought here? Begone, take your face from me. Damn. And Athaliah went out between the gathering, and passing into her bedchamber, she took a draught of poison. And her handmaiden sped to Hezekiah, saying, Come, my lord, my mistress dies. Then Hezekiah, his heart filled with remorse, sped to Athaliah, and as he came unto her, she died. And Hezekiah wept over her, and his heart was filled with grief. And he looked upon the body of Athaliah and said, I have slain the life within my own heart. I have slain the one who cherished me in my blindness, the one who loved beyond the bounds of love. In his anguish, the eye of his soul was opened, and saw the soul of Athaliah standing nearby. And Hezekiah was dazzled by the vision of her beauty. For she was radiant as the sun. He stretched out his hands toward her, but he could not touch her, for she was beyond the reach of earthly things. And she shook her head at him, and raising her hand, departed to the antechamber of eternity. Hezekiah raised himself up and strode out from the chamber, but he returned not again to the place of feasting. He sorrowed for many days. Now, while Hezekiah still sorrowed, word came to him that a company of men was coming against him. And he sent out his servants with laden asses, and went forth himself. And with his true men he prepared a place on the heights above the road to meet those who came to talk to him. And Hezekiah met them with arrows and with stones, and left them with their dead. Hezekiah and those with him passed out into the wilderness, and lived there many days. And it came to pass that word came to him of locusts, and he arose and went into the land of the sons of fire, passing into Tyre as a merchant from Keyth. And so it came about that Hezekiah came with sons of the children of light on ships of Arad, by who of Hanebo and Messalonus. By way of Hanebo and Messalonus there were many temples. The ships made one harvest towards the land of trees, where the great river flows to the west, and his sons he left in Tyre, that they might receive instruction in the household of locusts. Hezekiah governed many years in the land of mists, and made laws, and died in his old age. And he was buried by the river where the ground rises, beneath stones and soil carried in many baskets. A fence was made, and trees which still grow set about the place. When Hezekiah came here, he had been 44 years on earth, and 25 years passed before he died. May his God fulfill his hopes. Rabin, the son of Hezekiah, was born of a daughter from the house of locusts in this land. Okay, Jesus, that chapter took us like an hour to read. What a long chapter. Wow, that was a long... Amen. Did we lose the feed? Oh my goodness, that was such a long chapter. I feel like my being is, I feel tired. I feel taxed almost. Yeah, it was pretty cool, huh, Candy? I liked it. I liked it myself. We've been reading the Kolbrin Bible for a while now. If you guys enjoyed this, I have books 1, 2, and 3 already posted on my YouTube channel, like the finished audiobook, not the lives. So what I'm doing here is recording into my software. I go back, I edit all the clicks and sounds and edit out all the mistakes, put it into one long video, and run it. But you guys just saw behind the scenes, so welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thanks for joining us. I got a comment that says, "Hello, hello, man of letters." Following an archaic trail. Excellent, be able to. Oh. I don't know who that is, but thank you for the lovely comment. I appreciate that. Oh no, wrong button. Back. Sorry, I lost you guys. There we are. All Black Coffee. I feel like you're always dropping super chats, Black Coffee. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you kindly. I thank everybody else who's been chilling here too. I'm glad you guys enjoyed yourself. I was good. I really enjoyed that chapter. I wish this Kolbrin Bible would go more into the children of the light, so that I could sort of cross reference, because we hear the children of light come up all the time with the emerald tablets and hermetics and stuff like that. So it's like, could you go into detail about the children of light, why they're called that, where they came from? Cool. Should I pull? You guys want to pull a card of Black Coffee? Hit me with a number. We'll end it with one tarot pull. All right, listen, you guys. I've been reading Becoming Superhuman. I forgot, it's that super famous one, the New York bestseller. I know I finally got around to it. So far, it's classic. Law of attraction, a law of attraction, mind, our favorite stuff. So far, mostly it's just been a great reminder. Nothing necessarily noteworthy has come up. Why is Etsy up? I don't want Etsy. I want my Hermetic Tarot. But it's been getting me in a good pattern, a good rhythm. So I'd like to share that with you guys. So we'll pull a card. Black Coffee is gonna give us a number, and we're gonna pull that number and see how we can apply that. Nice. We should have flipped. I can't talk. Blah. There we go. Cool. I feel like watching anime right now. I really feel like watching. You guys anime fans? Am I the only one? Can't be the only one, right? And I'll apply this spread and try to give you a quick little, or as long and short as it needs to be, no more, no less, of some manifestation shit, all right? Because we've been slaying these past couple months, and I feel really good about this year. We're already done with the first month, which is kind of sad, because I feel like this is our year. Every year is our year, but this is one. Anyway, this card will help us with that. With that. Bum 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 bum. Bada bada bum. This is we're reading from the Kolbrin Bible, correct? And those without form. I mean, at least, yeah, that's how they're, yeah. 5. You give us 5, huh? All right, Black Coffee. I'm about to drop some heat on us. You ready? I need to get a better internet connection, you guys. I'm sorry that my feed is so god awful. I'm out in the den. You know how it is. You know how we do out here in the den. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait, didn't we just... Give me a break. We did not just pull this card, did we? We certainly pulled another king. Maybe it wasn't king. I think it was king of... Hold on, we'll find out right now. No, we pulled the same cards too. You gave me a random number. I shuffled the deck. I pulled the 5th card out. We pulled the same exact cards last time. All right. Interesting. All right. Noted. Listen to the inner wisdom offered by the wise elder that dwells inside of you. So the King of Swords has also been called like that Joan of Arc card, where it's almost like the woman disguised in armor, as how I believe it's been portrayed. So it's the king. All right. So here it is. It is the... Let me gather my thoughts. What's that word? Archetype. The King of Swords is the archetype of the one who remains silent for as long as possible to take in as much wisdom as possible before acting. And I'll go ahead and read. I'll go ahead and read the upright meaning. Here we go, Black Copy. Behold the Watcher Rabbit. That's funny. All right. Water. Traditionally representing the energy of a king, this masculine energy form is the adjudicator, the wise judge or mediator. He helps parties in conflict discover common ground and build upon it, and guides societies to see their greater good. His archetype is Solomon, ancient lawgiver and philosopher of the Old Testament. Sometimes appearing cool and detached, he can be misunderstood as not caring. But emotional displays are just not the medium, nor is he moved by appeals to sympathy or pity, as a king shouldn't be. With the philosophical overview that comes from long experience, he listens deeply, watches closely, speaks last. In the end, even his handedness and objectivity earn him the respect he receives from his community, and those who cannot work out their problems come to him voluntarily for advice. Occasionally, this man subtly detailed to imply that he is a woman in male armor. If you notice the theme in your deck, it's a reference to Joan of Arc, the Maid of Orleans, archetype of a devout and inspired woman warrior who was mystically led to abandon her social role to defend what she saw as the greater good. Although she was martyred young, her model crystallizes the message that sometimes the good of the whole is more important than the good of the individual. And in that case, even if you lose, you win just for being there. All right, so this is how we proceed. This is how we proceed with our manifestation, and then I'll give a quick little recap. In this position, the King of Swords advises that you research your situation and in the process question existing authorities. It may be time to examine underlying assumptions and bring greater clarity into areas that have been left in the dark. Don't wait for others to do it. Instead, draw your own conclusions. Spend time reviewing all the ramifications, because this King of Swords requires a thorough, methodical examination of ideas. Write that shit down. Write that down. Write that down. Do not forget that. Slow and steady wins the way. Thoughtfulness wins the race. The greater good? I guess. All right, we can go towards the greater good. Are we going greater good? I haven't made it a point to go to the greater good in the past, but maybe I can make it a point this year. How do you feel about that, Black Coffee? Remember, you guys, when it comes to making what we want to make, our mystical, magical world filled with synchronicities and serendipitous events that really fucking make us feel like, yo, there is more to life than what meets the eye. If you're looking for those experiences, you gotta start in the etheric. You gotta start in that sort of quantum field that they talk about, right? You know what I mean? if we start with the known, here's what happens when we start with the known. What exists? If you know something to be true, then you know it exists. But is that gonna make sense? I'm like trying. It's in my head. I'm like, how do I portray this message that it's clear and concise and simple? We take too much of our dogma and our baggage in a situation that we know. For example, I will never be successful in X, Y, or Z because of 1, 2, and 3. I won't be a musician because I'm too old. I won't be a successful YouTuber because I don't speak well in front of the camera. Like, we know all these, and they're true. Like, all those things are true. We know those things to be true. But what is also true is pure potential. Pure potential is also true. So if we tap into that quantum field, that pure potential, that meditative state, and that's why they say sort of forget about the how. They'll be like, forget about how something is done. Just focus on the feeling of what that thing, focus on the feeling of what you're going to have when that thing is accomplished. Forget about the how. And the reason why is because when we forget about the how, it's almost like we get out of our way, because we have our own ideas of how something can get done. And if we say, okay, if I'm making a lot of money, that means I need to work a lot, which is one way to make a lot of money, but it's not the only way. But if you're so caught up on, I know how to make money, the how is I got to work more, then you sort of pigeonhole yourself into that I have to work really hard to make a lot of money. And that is not, for me at least, it's not a very good direction to go when you want to make a lot of money. You know what I mean? So it's like, hey, forget about what you know about making money, and sort of tap into the pure potential, that quantum field, that like feminine, you know what I mean? That chaotic other side, pure potential. Then you start pulling, right? Your intention is that the electric, that's the masculine side. Boom, my intention is to get this, and the magnetic aspect, the feminine aspect, is the emotion you have behind it, which is, okay, I'm gonna feel when I get that thing, I'm gonna feel this way. Grateful, happy, free. I'm going to feel at peace. I'm going to feel magic again. I'm going to feel spirited again. Like all these wonderful, beautiful emotions. That's the magnetic feminine energy that's going to be the power behind what you're going to get. But the trick is, there's a bunch of tricks. There's a lot and there's none at all. There's a lot and there's none at all. Because we are human after all. We are creatures of habit after all. Thank God we're creatures of habit, right? Because then we'd never get shit done. We'd be like just going with the flow all the time. Just a bunch of goddamn hippies like asking their parents for money. And we don't want to be that person. We want to be sovereign individuals because we want to make some serious waves on this planet. Alright, where's all my cards? Cool, so nice. We got the King of Swords twice in a row of all the cards to pull, man. That is that's funny. That's funny. Instead of having to be right all the time. Noted indeed. Alright, yes, Candy. Cool. Was that good? Was that a decent enough spread, Black Coffee? Are you with us? Thank you guys for chilling. Like the video. If you want to read more or hear more of the Kolbrin Bible, please do. I also redid the Emerald Tablets and finished it because I didn't actually upload the entire Emerald Tablets, the one I did 4 years ago, so it's been updated. I have the other Kolbrin Bible audiobooks. If you want to start with the first one, I'll send you guys a link if you want something nice and tasty to go to sleep to. There you go. If you want more of the Kolbrin Bible, that's book 1. Tonight we read book 4. But for books 1 through 3 are already up on the channel, complete and edited. So have at it. Yeah, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Just Rena Bina, damn, you missed the whole slew. We had a whole thing going on. Rena Bina, you missed it. We've been on here since like 7 o'clock. It's 8:08. That's my number. What up? What up? Zing a ding a ding. Bibbidi bop. Bibbidi bop bop. Whoa. It was a good one, Jess. It was a good one. You guys are gonna like it. It's like we did like almost like a, what do you call it? ASMR. Should I do ASMR audiobooks? Hi guys, welcome back. We're reading from the Kolbrin Bible tonight. Chapter 8, the Rolls of Records 2. Lothan, captain of men of valor, victorious over the sons of the new moon and guardian of the hidden wisdom, maker of roads in the red lands and the builder of the secret fort. By Abisabel once, scribe of the god Eloa and Ladosa, keeper of the records in the new temple to his fathers in wisdom of the temple of Iswara. Greetings. May you live long and earth in prosperity, peace, and health, and depart in knowledge. Just lo-fi ASMR occult audiobook readings? That would be quite the niche. That would be quite the niche. Hey, so there were serious Esther vibes there, right? I don't know who Esther is. Who's Esther? I don't know who Esther is. The vibes, if you're referring to the manifestation tip vibes I was given, I would say those are legit every vibe of every manifestation guru for the past, God, 100 years. By no means was that emotion and intention thing my own creation. I've heard that. That's basically it's basically the recipe for modern spirituality, and like I said, the past 100 years. That's pretty standard. From the Christian Bible, the one I was just reading, Esther vibes right there. I thought you were talking. I thought you were talking about a guru by the name of Esther. It did have Old Testament vibes to it, didn't it? That's funny. Can you do a video on ancestors, working with and honoring? I could, yeah, 100% could do a video on ancestors, working with and honoring. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Maybe I'll run that tomorrow. Dude, the Kolbrin Bible, for you guys who are still here, one of the stories talked about a king having two twins, had one pair of twins, and didn't know which one to make king, so he cast a sword in stone, and the son who could get the sword out of the stone became king. So there's a whole bunch of stories in the Kolbrin that overlap, like Sumerian stuff, Christian stuff, and even mythology and lore, like King Arthur, Sword in the Stone. That's English folklore, you know what I mean? So this book's all over the place. That's what's pretty cool about this Kolbrin Bible, is that it actually touches on a whole bunch of stuff. It's pretty dope. Thank you too for the donation, Black Coffee. All you other guys too, thank you guys for chilling and being here. I'm about to step out and get some food. I'm hungry as balls. Thank you for chilling and hanging out. I'll see you soon.